So I know a lot of officials struggle with their locker room space. It's tiny, just like this one, and getting loose, right? So I've got a couple different implements here. We'll go over some stretches that you can do in a locker room or in those tight spaces prior to getting out onto the court or onto the field and help you with your warm-up, okay? All this can be done in less than 10 minutes. So for me, I'm gonna start with some soft tissue prep. And if you have a towel or something, you know, like this mat near the showers in the locker room, use it on the ground. Sometimes it's hard floors, I get it, but this stuff could be a game changer for you as an official. So first, I'm going to use my golf ball. Now, I'm just gonna massage the bottom of my feet. There's a quarter of the bones in your body that are in your feet, so you gotta take care of your feet. There's muscles, there's tendons, there's ligaments, there's all sorts of stuff. Everything starts from the ground up, and you officiate on your feet. So, you gotta take care of your feet. So, 1 or 2 minutes on each foot. I'm not gonna go through that entire thing here in this video, or this would take us forever, but you can get all this done again in less than 10 minutes. So spend a minute on the right, a minute on the left, then I will move on. Immediately, my feet already feel better, and I'm starting to loosen up a little bit at a time. Now, I put my golf ball away, and I've got a softball here. I think this is much, much better than foam rollers, and personally, I don't like Theraguns that much either. The frequency is really fast, but I don't think it gets deep enough. So I'm gonna hit a couple different target spots that officials should hit. So first, I just started with my feet. I'm going to lay down and get my calves. So there's an order to all of this as well. There's 2 different calf muscles. You can roll on the outside, you can roll on the inside. Me personally, I start up at the top of the knee, and then I work my way down. So I'm looking for tender spots that I would roll on. So I found one here for me. Now, if I want less body weight, if it's too much for me, I can roll over and take some body weight off. If I want to put more pressure on it, which is what I'm looking to do with this, I'm just gonna cross over and add a little weight, and it intensifies what I'm doing right here, okay? Now, the other thing that you can do, once you find one of those tight spots, is a technique called ART. Active release technique. Your physical therapist may do this with you, massage therapist. They're using the fingers. You don't have to pay for that. You can just do this with your softball. So I find a spot that's tight and tender right there. What I want to do is I want to flex my toe out, and I want to pull it all the way back in. I'm going to go through this a couple different times, and I'm putting pressure in the spot while I'm lengthening the muscle back out. Okay, so ART. Right side, left side, good. I did my calves. So feet, calves, gotta hit them. The next one that is a non-negotiable for me would be hip flexors, okay? So I'm gonna start at this bone right here. As soon as I hit the muscle, I'm gonna work my way down. So I'm gonna lay on it, again, as much body weight as I want, as much body weight as I can tolerate. And now I'm gonna roll up in 1 to 2 inch sections. And here I found a spot for me that's tender. So I'm gonna do the same thing, bending a joint with this other leg. So I'm actually gonna bend this knee while the pressure's on the ball in that spot, and then I'm gonna lengthen it back out as far as I can, okay? So I'm gonna do that a couple times. I'm gonna roll up and down in 1 to 2 inch sections. The last one that we'll go over today is the glutes. So this is pretty painful if you're tender, but I'm actually gonna make a figure 4. So if I wanna work on the right glute, what I wanna do is cross that right leg over, and I'm gonna lay on the ball. Now, be mindful, you're gonna have to use your hands here and take some different pressure off, but once you find a spot, sit on it, take a couple deep breaths, but roll around and just really massage that spot out. So it's really important for an official. Again, you struggle with tendonitis in your Achilles, patella tendonitis, hips, glutes get tight from sitting in a car, sitting at your full-time job, so on and so forth. We've got to loosen all this back up. So feet and ankles, calves, we hit the hip flexors, now we hit the glutes. That's a good start for you, okay? All of that stuff on both sides can be done in roughly 5 minutes. Take your time if you would like 2 more, okay? Now, I'm gonna go through some stationary dynamic stretches. All stationary means is that I'm in place. Dynamic, we also know that that is better for you than static stretching before your game. I have this mat here, but put anything on the ground if you want for your knees, a towel or something. So this is how I'm gonna start. First, I'm gonna start with the hip flexor pulse. So I'm not just gonna push my hips forward, I'm actually gonna tuck my hips up and under, and I'm lengthening that hip flexor the entire time I'm going through this, okay? You can add a twist, but once again, I'm not pushing my hips forward, I'm trying to tuck my glutes up and under and really lengthen that hip flexor out, okay? So you can go for time, 10 to 15 seconds or reps. 5 to 10 reps will get you good in a good start, okay? Then I'm gonna make it super simple. I'm gonna get into my groins. So I do think that a lot of officials do not spend enough time on their groins. So that right knee is already down. I'm gonna put my hands out front and push this left leg straight out to the side. Now, here's where you can mess this up. If this knee is under my hips, I don't get the same stretch. I want this knee to go outside my hips. Now, it's really simple. I'm just gonna rock my hips backwards, keep my back nice and flat, neck in a neutral position, and I'm just gonna loosen the groin. Same thing, 10, 15 seconds. So now we've hit hip flexor, we've hit groins. Now what I'm gonna do is the other side. Then I can hit both at the same time. So if you've done a yoga class before, frog stretch, same thing, but we're gonna make it dynamic. So both knees out, just rock your hips back, okay? Again, same time frame. Now, after that, I'm gonna go into a 90-90 stretch. This is a little bit more static, but we're gonna throw some variations into it and get into the hips. So front knee at 90 degrees, back knee at 90 degrees, just lean out over your shin, okay? Do that 10, 15 seconds. Now walk your hands out to the right. So here's what I wanna do. I wanna keep this back knee down on the ground, and when I walk my hands out, I want to try to get my left arm as straight as I can at that time, okay? So now I'm going to stretch my lats out, my QL. All these are really, really important for me as an official to loosen up before the game, okay? So I'll go to the left side, regular 90-90, or whatever time frame I want. Walk my hands out, same thing, reach the right arm out. All right, so the next one that you can do in the locker room is a complete game changer. So we've already gone through the 90-90 sequence, right? 90 degrees on the front, 90 on the back. Now we're gonna work on some hip internal rotation, which helps a lot of referees after they've been stiff and tight working all day or in the car, loosen their hips back up, okay? So most people are able to externally rotate their hip, but have issues when it comes to internally rotating the head of the femur, okay? So what we wanna do here is, you got two options. The first one we're going to talk about is shin boxes, okay? So I'm in my 90-90. I want to do the best I can to keep my chest up. I'm going to try to put my arms out front, but if you need a small prop for the short term, you can. Now, your goal here in this exercise is to keep your feet still. You're going to rotate your shoulders around by opening the front leg, and you're going to flip your knees around with you, keeping your chest up the best you can. And then when you rotate, you want to finish your shoulders around and push this back knee down into the ground, and you will feel this part of your hip right here. Some it might even cramp up, but you're gonna really feel it stretch out, okay? So we can do it time-based, or you can do 3 to 5 reps each direction. The other variation off of that is a 90-90 lift off. So same starting position, 90-90, but now I'm gonna use this hand, prop myself up, and I'm gonna try to pick this back foot up off the ground while I lay this knee down, okay? So I can do this right now, and I can lift this back ankle up off the ground while keeping my chest still, but you can also use a band and assist yourself in doing this. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's a very, very good stretch. And then the last one for locker room prep, your standard calf stretch, but you're gonna make it more dynamic because we're talking about stationary, dynamic. I have small spaces once again in the locker room, so I'm going to try to walk my hands back towards my feet to where I can get both heels down on the ground. But now I can make it dynamic. I can do calf raises, I can alternate. I want to do them two different ways. I want to do it with my knees straight, but I also want to do this stuff with my knees bent because it's working each calf muscle a little bit differently. So if you like this video, make sure you share it with another official. And if you would like for us to come out and work with your association and teach y'all in person, reach out to us. We're more than happy to help.